Okay, so welcome back, and in this presentation we'll be discussing fractions. We'll define what a fraction is, we'll look at different types of fractions, we'll simplify fractions, we'll multiply them, add them, divide them, subtract them, and work with fractions and negative signs. Okay, so let's get started. So what is a fraction? So a fraction is an expression written in this form, something divided by something. So this little sign can be read as something, as divided by. A divided by B, or A over B. You can also say the ratio of A to B. So the important thing here is that B can't be 0. A is called the numerator, B is called the denominator. So there are various ways to categorize fractions. In one classification we have simple fractions and complex fractions. So simple fractions are those in which the numerator and denominators are integers, and in complex fractions then these can be fractions themselves. So we have 1/2 divided by 3, 3/5 divided by 7/2, and 4/9 divided by 3/5. We can also categorize fractions as proper, improper, and mixed. So in the case of a proper fraction, the numerator is less than the denominator. In the case of an improper fraction, the numerator is greater than the denominator. And in the case of a mixed fraction, well, it's of this form where you have an integer and then a proper fraction. So for example, 3 and 5/8. So we'll be looking at the simplification of fractions, and a fraction is considered simplified if they have no common factors other than 1. So 3/8, 2/5, and 11/3, these are all simplified fractions. This is not simplified because notice they have a common factor, which is 7. So this can be simplified some more. So 3 over 21 can be reduced to 1 over 7, 1/7. And likewise, we look at this case here, 8/12 can be reduced to 2/3. Notice I divide both the numerator and denominator by 4. Right? That's the same as multiplying both the numerator and denominator by 1/4. So multiply this by 1/4, multiply this by 1/4. So how can we be sure that this number is the same as this number? Well, if I multiply this if I multiply 8 over 12 by 1/4 over 1/4, what's this number here? Well, anything divided by itself is 1, and so this number is 1. So no matter what this looks like in the end, we know that these numbers have to be the same because I have only multiplied this by 1, and any number you multiply by 1 remains the same. So 8/12 has to be the same as 2/3, and 1/4 of 8 is 2, 1/4 of 12 is 3. When we multiply fractions, we simply multiply across the numerator and denominator. So it's, in this case, it's going to be 8 times C and then B times D. So look at this example here. We have 3/4 times 2/5. That's 3 times 2 over 4 times 5. And then we simplify to 3/10. Alright. Dividing fractions. So now when you're going to divide fractions, what you do is you multiply by the reciprocal. You multiply the first by the reciprocal of the second. So for example, 3/4 divided by 2/5 is the same as 3/4 times 5/2. And then you just do multiplication as you know how to. So that becomes 3 5 15, 4 2 8, and then you simplify if warranted. So this bears no simplification. We can't simplify this anymore. Alright, so adding and subtracting fractions. When you're going to add or subtract fractions, it's very easy if they have the same denominator. Right? And so if they have the same denominator, you just keep the denominator and add the numerators. Likewise for subtraction. Right? So these then become a plus b over c, or a minus b over c. If they have different denominators, then you have to find the LCM of both denominators and give both fractions the same denominator. Note that this is just a convenience, really, but all schools require this, that you find the LCM. But strictly speaking, you can add them fractions by finding any common denominator, right? Any common multiple. But no, you want it to be simplified, so that's why you look for the least common multiple. So here's an example. I have 7 12ths and 5 8ths to add up. What's the LCM of 12 and 18? Well, 36. Now, I'm sure you all know a procedural way of doing this, and it's quite fine, but let's take a little deeper look at this, right? I want to multiply this fraction by a number such that the denominator will be 36, but I don't want the overall fraction to change. So I know that if I multiply 12 by 3, I will get 36. So how do I know that? I say 12 into 36 gives me 3. And so then I multiply this by 3 over 3. Notice, because then 3 over 3 is 1. So that gives, so I know that whatever I get here has to be the same because I have multiplied it by 1. So 3 7 is 21, 3 12 is 36. And likewise here, I need to multiply 18 by 2. How do I know that? 18 into 36, 2, right? And so then I need to multiply the whole thing by 1 in the form then of 2 over 2. That assures me that this 10 over 36 is the same as 5 over 18. And of course, now we simply say 21 plus 10. That gives us 31 over 36. So I'm quite sure you know a way that you prefer. I want you to see that it's the same thing, right? You looked for the LCM and then you got 36. And then you said 12 into 36. 3 7 is 21. And then 18 into 36 was 2 5 is 10. And we're right here. Now, sometimes students complain about when I approach things like this because this seems to be faster. But the objective here is not so much that you know how to multiply fractions. You can do that on any good calculator. It's understanding what's going on here, right? Why does this work? You know, we learn it in primary school and we know we get the answer and the teacher tells us it's correct. But why is it correct? And it's based on a very simple idea. We're just multiplying these by 1, right? Okay. Fractions and negative signs. Just remember that you can write them this way, minus a over b or a over minus b, or just take the minus sign out. Here I am assuming that a and b are positive numbers. And let's keep things simple, positive integers. Huh? So this is the preferred way, but these are correct also. And when I say the preferred way, I mean the way I prefer, right? So that's not, no emails, please. So let's look at how we simplify these then. We have this complex fraction here, 1/2 plus 2/3 over 3/4 minus a 6. Well, I know the common factor up here will be 6. So I multiply this by 3 and by 3 over 3, and I multiply this by 2 over 2. So think about it, right? So when I do that, if I multiply this by 3 over 3, I get 6 down here and 3 up here. And if I multiply this by 2 over 2, I get 6 down here and 4 up here. Or you could simply say, well, the common LCM is 6. 2 into 6, 3. 3 1s 3. 3 into 6, 2. 2 2 is 4. But I hope you see it's the same thing, right? So let's try and get these things clear. And then down here I do the same thing, right? Find the LCM, 12. And then 3 4 is 12, so 3 3 is 9. And 2 6 is 12, so 2 1 is 2. And then I simplify here, that becomes 7 6. This becomes 7 12. And 9 minus 2 is 7. And then dividing a fraction by another is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So here then I get 7 over 6 times 12 over 7, which gives me 12 over 6, which gives me 2. Likewise here, I can just go simplifying. 2 minus 7 is minus 5. 8 minus 6 is 2. 2 plus 3 is 5. 11 minus 6 is a minus 5. And so then this gives me minus 15. This gives me 4. 20. This gives me plus 35. And then here I get minus 11. And down here I get 55. And so now in this case, the LCM will be 54, so I multiply this by 6 over 6. 6 4 is 24x. And then here 9 over 9 gives me 45 over 54. And so this simply becomes 24x minus 24x minus 45. I can take the minus sign out here, and then this becomes 24x plus 45. Notice minus times 24x is minus 24x, minus times plus 45 is minus 45. All right, and then so this last one here, well, this is just a multiplication, so this should be fairly easy. That's just going to be, well, we can simplify it first before we multiply, so that's 4 into 4, 1, 4 into 8, 2. Notice I'm multiplying I'm dividing both the numerator and the denominator by 4, or I'm multiplying the numerator and denominator by what? 1/4. In other words, 1/4 over 1/4 is 1. And so that, and so likewise here. I really don't like to use that word cancel. Almost all my teachers say cancel. I really think it's bad. There's no cancelling. There are operations. So 3 divided by 3 gives you 1. There's no, it's just a simple operation. 3 divided by 3 gives you 1. So it's not like they disappear or they cancel or whatever. Anyway, so this gives us a minus y over 2. And that brings us to the end of this little presentation. Thanks for your kind attention, and see you in the next one.